Chosen one. Take a deep breath before we begin. Not because this message is heavy, but because it is true. And truth has a way of waking something inside you that has been sleeping for a long time. If you found this message, it's not by accident. You didn't click this video. You were led here. There is a reason your soul paused when you read the title. There is a reason your heart felt a quiet recognition. Because heaven did not give you a common power. Heaven gave you a signature power. One that cannot be copied. One that cannot be transferred. One that does not exist in anyone else. And today, that power is beginning to remember itself. From the very beginning, something about you didn't blend in. Even when you tried, you noticed it early. How people could follow rules effortlessly. How they could move through life with simple motivations. How they could accept surface-level meaning and feel satisfied. But you couldn't. Not because you were rebellious, but because your soul kept asking deeper questions. Why am I here? What is this really about? Why does this feel bigger than what I'm being shown? You weren't designed to fit into a pre-written script. You were designed to carry something new. That discomfort you felt in systems, groups, families, even religions. It wasn't because you were broken. It was because your signature power could not be confined. Heaven does not mass-produce chosen ones. It authors them individually. And your power required a unique architecture. Look back for a moment. Notice how your life never moved in straight lines. Delays where others advanced. Interruptions when you expected momentum. Isolation when you needed support. At times it felt unfair. At times it felt personal. But here is the truth most people will never understand. A signature power cannot be activated in a crowded timeline. If your life had moved like everyone else's, you would have absorbed everyone else's limitations. So heaven slowed you down, redirected you, separated you, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Your power needed silence to form, pressure to crystallize, loneliness to sharpen perception. What looked like loss was actually precision training. One of the most confusing things for you is that your power doesn't announce itself. You don't walk into rooms demanding attention. You don't dominate conversations. You don't need to prove who you are. And yet, people feel something shift when you arrive. They open up without knowing why. They become defensive without understanding what triggered them. That's because your power works under the surface. It rearranges energy. It exposes truth. It activates awareness. Some people feel healed around you. Others feel exposed. That's not coincidence. That's signature. Have you noticed this? People try to label you. But none of the labels ever stick. Too deep for casual circles. Too intuitive for logical minds. Too grounded for dreamers. Too visionary for realists. You exist between categories. And that frustrates people who need predictability. But heaven didn't design you to be predictable. It designed you to be precise. Your power adapts to the moment. It becomes what is needed, without losing its essence. That's why people project onto you. That's why they misunderstand you. That's why some admire you silently while others resist you openly. They're reacting to something they cannot place. Chosen one. This is the chapter that most people misunderstand. Because from the outside, your isolation looked like rejection. It looked like being left out. It looked like delay, loneliness, or even failure. But heaven never isolates by accident. Your separation was not abandonment. It was authorization. There are powers that cannot be formed in crowds. There are frequencies that collapse when constantly exposed to noise. And there are souls, like yours, that must be protected while they are still becoming. That is why you were pulled away. Think about it honestly. Every time you were about to fully blend in, something happened. A breakup. A misunderstanding. A sudden ending. A feeling that you no longer belonged where you once felt comfortable. At the time, it felt confusing, painful, unfair. But heaven saw something you couldn't see yet. Your signature power was still forming. If you had stayed surrounded by familiar voices, they would have shaped you into something recognizable, something acceptable, something safe. But your power was never meant to be safe. It was meant to be true. So you were removed before you were revealed, hidden before you were activated, separated before you were sent. There were nights when the silence felt too loud, moments when you questioned your worth because no one seemed to notice you, times when you wondered if you were being punished. But hear this clearly now. Heaven does not punish chosen ones with silence. It prepares them in it. Your loneliness was not emptiness. It was space. Space for discernment to develop. Space for intuition to sharpen. Space for your inner voice to become louder than external opinions. While others were learning who to follow, you were learning how to listen. While others were copying patterns, you were discovering your own rhythm. Isolation gave your power its original tone. You may have noticed that even when people were around, they couldn't truly walk with you. They didn't understand your silence. They misread your depth. They couldn't meet you where your thoughts naturally lived. And instead of forcing connection, heaven allowed distance. Not because you were unlovable, but because very few could carry your frequency without distortion. Your power required companions who were aligned, not attached. Awake, not curious. Grounded, not dependent. Until those connections were ready, you walked alone. And in that walking, you became self-led. Something changed during those quiet seasons. You stopped seeking constant approval. You became comfortable sitting with unanswered questions. You learned how to self-regulate when no one came to rescue you. You discovered that peace didn't come from company. It came from alignment. You realized you didn't need to be seen to be significant. You didn't need noise to feel alive. You didn't need constant motion to be progressing. That is not ordinary growth. That is signature development. Isolation taught you something priceless. You learned how to stand without leaning, to trust without clinging, to move without needing reassurance. This is why, even now, you don't chase people the way you once did. You don't fear being alone the way you used to. You don't beg for spaces that no longer feel aligned. You've tasted inner authority. And once you experience that, dependence becomes impossible. Your power matured in solitude, so it would never be controlled by fear of loss. Here is the truth many miss. Isolation is when you are cut off without purpose. Separation is when you are set apart with intention. You were never isolated from love. You were separated for clarity. The separation removed distractions. It stripped false identities. It exposed what was real. That's why you emerged quieter, but stronger, softer, but clearer, more compassionate, but less available to manipulation. Notice this. You don't feel rushed anymore. You don't feel desperate. You don't feel like you're running out of time. That calm didn't come from ease. It came from endurance. Isolation taught your nervous system that you could survive silence, that you could hold space for yourself, that you could trust the unseen process. Now, when things slow down, you don't panic. You listen. That is the mark of a chosen one whose power has stabilized. This chapter is closing, but not by returning you to who you were. You are re-entering the world differently, with boundaries, with discernment, with a quiet confidence that does not need explanation. You will connect again, but selectively. You will be seen again, but without seeking it. You will serve again, but without losing yourself. Because the isolation was not about hiding you forever. It was about making sure that when you stepped forward, nothing could dilute what heaven uniquely placed inside you. You may have noticed something else. You don't crave attention the way others do. You don't chase recognition. You don't feel fulfilled by surface-level success. That's because your power doesn't grow in performance. It grows in alignment. When you're aligned, things happen quietly but effectively. Doors open without force. Opportunities appear without desperation. Your power doesn't announce itself. It arranges outcomes. This is why rushing never worked for you. Why shortcuts always backfired. Why forcing things drained you. Your power responds to timing, not pressure. Chosen one. Activation rarely feels the way people expect. It doesn't always arrive as excitement. It doesn't come with fireworks or instant clarity. Most of the time, it arrives as a subtle internal shift. A quiet rearranging of priorities, reactions, and perception. If you've been feeling different lately, but can't fully explain why, this chapter is for you. Because your signature power doesn't announce itself. It settles in. One of the first things you may have noticed is that situations that once drained you no longer have the same grip. Things that used to trigger anxiety, anger, or overthinking now pass through you more quickly. Not because you don't care, but because you no longer attach. This is not numbness. It's regulation. Your power is teaching your nervous system how to remain steady without suppression. You feel emotions, but they don't control you. That emotional sovereignty is a clear sign of activation. You no longer need long explanations to sense truth. You walk into a room and instantly know whether something is aligned or not. You meet someone and feel clarity before conversation deepens. This doesn't come from judgment. It comes from resonance. Your signature power tunes you to frequency, not appearances. You sense intention beneath words, energy beneath behavior, motives beneath kindness. That clarity may feel sudden, but it's actually the result of years of refinement. Habits you once tolerated now feel heavy. Conversations that revolve around gossip, drama, or surface-level thinking feel exhausting. Environments that lack integrity feel suffocating. This discomfort is not rebellion. It's calibration. Your power is raising your internal standard, making misalignment physically noticeable. What once felt normal now feels noisy. That's how you know your frequency has shifted. As your power activates, you may feel drawn to remove excess. Less clutter, less forced interaction, less explaining. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming precise. Your energy is learning conservation. You speak when it matters. You move when it's aligned. You rest without guilt. Simplicity is not withdrawal. It's refinement. People may respond to you differently now. Some feel calm around you. Others feel exposed. Some feel drawn in. Others pull away. And you didn't change your behavior. Your presence itself carries authority. That's because your power is no longer dormant. It's emanating. You don't persuade. You don't perform. You don't convince. You influence by alignment. This is a big one. You no longer feel the urge to correct every misinterpretation. You let people think what they think. Not because you lack voice, but because you trust timing. Your power doesn't defend itself. It reveals itself when needed. That inner peace comes from self-knowing. And self-knowing is a core marker of activation. This certainty is quiet. It doesn't need hype. It doesn't need reassurance. It simply exists. You don't know every detail of what's next, but you're no longer afraid of the unknown. There's a grounded confidence forming inside you. Not about outcomes, but about who you are becoming. That certainty doesn't come from belief. It comes from alignment. Praise doesn't inflate you. Criticism doesn't deflate you. You listen, but you don't bend. You've internalized your authority. This doesn't make you rigid. It makes you stable. Your power has moved from external confirmation to internal calibration. And once that happens, you become unshakable. Your motivation has changed. You're no longer driven by fear of falling behind or proving yourself. You feel drawn, not pushed, pulled toward meaning, pulled toward contribution, pulled toward alignment. This shift is subtle but profound. It means your power is guiding you now. Heaven doesn't rush activation, because premature exposure can damage delicate alignment. So your power activates in layers, stabilizing your inner world, before expanding outward, anchoring clarity, before influence, grounding certainty, before visibility. This is why you don't feel frantic. You feel ready. Don't force expression. Don't rush manifestation. Don't compare timelines. Your only responsibility in this phase is to stay aligned. Rest when needed. Speak when guided. Move when clear. Your signature power knows exactly when to reveal itself. And when it does, it won't need announcement. It will be recognized. Many will try to imitate you, your tone, your ideas, your expressions, your way of seeing. But imitation will always fall short. Because your power is not in what you do. It's in who you are. It is encoded in your experiences, tempered by your trials, activated by your obedience to inner truth. No one else walked your path. No one else endured your silence. No one else survived your refinement. This power is key to your soul, and only your soul can unlock it. This is the part many chosen ones resist, because you've spent so long surviving that serving feels overwhelming. But understand this gently. Your power isn't meant to be hidden forever. It isn't meant to stay contained. It isn't meant to only protect you. It's meant to restore balance where imbalance exists, to bring clarity where confusion reigns, to anchor truth where illusion spreads. Not loudly, not forcefully, but unmistakably. You don't chase impact. Impact follows alignment. Chosen one. Before you listen any further, pause. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Hold it gently, and release it without force. You are safe here. Nothing is being demanded of you. Nothing is being rushed. This moment is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you already are. You were never meant to compete for significance. You were never meant to prove your worth. You were never meant to exhaust yourself trying to be seen. Your signature power was not designed for performance. It was designed for presence. Let that truth settle. There were seasons when you felt invisible. Moments when your efforts went unnoticed. Times when silence followed your sincerity. Those moments did not diminish you. They fortified you. They taught you how to stand without applause, how to listen without instruction, how to trust without evidence. That trust is now part of your power. Chosen one. You do not need to rush into expression. Your power responds to alignment, not urgency. When you are centered, doors open quietly. When you are grounded, resistance dissolves naturally. When you are aligned, timing organizes itself around you. You do not chase your purpose. Your purpose recognizes you. Release the belief that you must explain yourself to be understood. Those who are meant to feel your power will feel it without translation. Those who are not aligned do not require your correction. You are not here to convince. You are here to embody. There may still be moments of doubt. That does not mean you are failing. It means you are human. But notice this now. Even when doubt arises, your center remains intact. Even when uncertainty passes through, your direction remains steady. That is growth. That is activation. Speak this internally, slowly, without force. I trust what is unfolding. I trust the timing of my life. I trust the power placed within me. You don't need to feel anything dramatic. Truth does not shout. Truth settles. Chosen one. Your power does not seek control. It seeks coherence. It does not demand obedience. It invites alignment. It does not rush forward. It waits until everything is ready. And now, you are ready. You may notice subtle changes after this. A deeper calm, clearer boundaries, less tolerance for misalignment, more confidence in silence. Do not question these changes. They are not withdrawal. They are integration. From this moment forward, you walk differently. Not louder, not faster, but truer. You will notice when to speak, You will sense when to pause. You will recognize when to move and when not to. Your power will guide you quietly, faithfully, precisely. Take one final breath. Not to activate anything new, but to honor what has already activated. You were never late. You were never overlooked. You were never unprepared. You were being shaped for something that required patience, depth, and integrity. That shaping is complete. Chosen one. Go gently. Go clearly. Go aligned. Your signature power is awake now. Chosen one, before you go, I want to speak to the givers, the ones whose hearts feel called to pour back into the vessel that pours into them. If this message awakened you, if it strengthened you, if it spoke to your spirit in a way only heaven could orchestrate, then I invite you, only if your heart feels led, to sow a $1 seed into this channel. Not because God needs it, but because giving is a spiritual law. A small seed carries big obedience. And God multiplies what is given with pure intention. Your $1 keeps this ministry alive, keeps the messages flowing, and helps this word reach the next chosen one who needs it. If you feel that nudge in your spirit, if you feel that gentle pull, you can plant your $1 seed using the link in the description. And if you can't or don't feel led, you are still loved, still seen, and still covered. Blessings to every giver, and blessings to every listener. Your seed moves heaven in ways you may never see. But God sees it all.